Noobs Junior here. Thought I'd give you guys an update. So I'm got these guys. I got the VetaVed starter set. Yay! I was hoping to do an unboxing, and I was like, nah, I'll just build them. I couldn't be bothered. But you know, it's a good set. This you get about 9 of these. I think it's quite a few of these. I can't remember what they're called. But they're really nice. I painted this with the modern Russian colours from AK Interactive. Got that at a local hobby store. I was pretty happy with that. So my army is going to be painted, and this is my T64B. So my guys are going to be probably painted a mixture of the standard Russian US olive drab. Yep. And I'm probably going to mix it up and paint some of them like this. Maybe some of the reconnaissance stuff, just to mix things up, make things different. These guys are really good. I love these things. The T64B, I think BV, 25 points for a unit of 6, I think it is. And I've got 12. No, 13, sorry. I've got 13. So the dream and the plan is to run 13 of these guys. And run an army of them, and then have them supported by these guys, which are your VetaVed troops. Because the thing with the Russians is Russian infantry are really cheap. Like, really, really cheap. Pardon me, sorry, it's a bit late here. They're really, really cheap. They're really, really good. And the problem is that they, if you look at the Russian cards, you can have, I think it's like the Russian infantry. It's fine in Flames of War. You can run large infantry units, for example. Like if you're playing Germans, you can run Panzer Grenadiers without transports. You can't do that with the Russians. Sorry, you can't do that with the Russians. The Russians, you have to run them motorized. So you've got BMP 1s, BMP 2s, and BMP 3s. 3s are really good. So the thing is, and you've also got these guys only can transport your VetaVed. Now the thing is that the thing with buying a Russian army is you kind of got to think about that, I would say, heavily beforehand. If you start Russians, you're going to need, if you start an infantry force with the Russians, that is, I think, conservatively, if you're doing a max-sized army, that's 19 BMPs or something like that, because you can run them in units of 9, which is a lot. The problem then is that is, like, you're spending a lot on transports. And I think that's what if I was, say, playing Russians, or I was going to get into Russians, I reckon Russians or Polish, if I was a player, I would definitely recommend either getting these guys or doing the big box set. And the reason why is the infantry, mechanized infantry. It's the easiest way to get lots of BMPs. You want lots of BMPs. You can use them as observation posts. You can use them as transports. You can use them as scouts. So you want a lot of them, and that's the easiest way to get a lot of them. If you buy these guys individually, you're going to be spending an arm and a leg. So I reckon if you're going to do it, just max out. Buy one of those starter sets. It'll give you all the infantry that you need. And like, for example, I got two of these squads. The detail on them is really nice. They're metal. I've been working with a lot of plastic, so it should be okay, but I'm not terribly worried about working with them. It's just going to be a bit of a pain when I'm spraying them, but other than that, it should be okay. And then we've got this. I think this is a BTRD. Oh, I haven't opened it yet, but I will eventually. Oh, and you get 3. Well, that's cool. So the BTRD, they are pretty good. From what I understand, you can build them 3 different ways. I think you can build them as a transport, you can build them as an AA, or you can build them as an anti-tank option. And I think the no-brainer is you build them as AA. It's not super effective AA, but the Russians have lots of options at AA, with AA. It's all reasonably priced. It's all pretty cheap. So you don't have to worry about, like you have options, and you've got lots of cheap options, and BTRDs are pretty good. They're not perfect. They have their problems. You can build, the thing is that there's no point giving it an anti-tank missile. Like, you've got free anti-air in straight from the get-go. You may as well get that. It's sort of like the I think there's a starter set that came out recently for this it's the T-72 company box set, and that comes with BMRDs, I think they are, and you can build that as an anti-tank option, a recon option, or an AA. And I think easily it's the AA or the machine gun, because it's just extra scout, extra movement. That's really good. So far, I bought that VetiVed box. I got the couple of boxes of T-72, T-64s, T-64Bs. Really happy with them. I also, unfortunately and sadly, these things are in Ukraine at the moment, and they are rather infamous. This here is, I can't remember what it's called, its designation, but they're famously known as thermobaric rockets. So these things fire a missile barrage. They've got about a 48-inch range. The Russians aren't the greatest at artillery strikes. They're not as well skilled as, say, they're not as well skilled as, say, the East Germans are, or the Poles, but they do get some of the most up-to-date stuff. And these things are terrifying. So in Flames of War and Team Yankee, you have to range in. So you get a handful of dice and you range in. So you get first attempt, second attempt, and third attempt. And you need to pass your skill check in order to get in. So you've got 3 chances to pass your skill check. Russians pass on a 5, so these guys, it is kind of balanced out. But what these guys can do is terrifying. I think they can salvo, which is a lot. Even if it's not, they've still got a very wide battery area where they can hit. They auto firepower, and they are brutal. So that means that any infantry that hits basically has a very high chance that it's going to die. So these things are nasty. And I think you would probably want them further back, as far as possible, because if you don't, they're going to get screwed. I've also got some Hinds. They're somewhere else. I'm not sure where. Here's the photographic evidence. I think they're out in the garage. I've been airbrushing. So that's the propeller blade. I've also got this. I sprayed it today. I've sprayed it Wraithbone, and I'm going to paint it Iraqi sand. And they are really cool. This is the Frogfoot. They're still operating today. Few countries still use them. It's kind of like a Russian, it's like a Sturmovik. It's a modern Sturmovik. They're really nice. They're pretty nasty. They've got really good collection of missiles on them, so they're good against fighting top armor tanks. They're good against fighting modern tanks. They're really good for the Russians. And I think that it's another tool in the toolbox. In one of the articles, it basically says that I read was that the Russians are extremely good at combined arms warfare. And what I think that basically means is that Russian stuff is cheap. It's pretty cost effective. Most of it's got very high morale. So essentially what you want to do is buy up your slots and essentially get a wide variety of different tools that you can use, and then just periodically focus down certain things and certain elements, then move on to the next thing. I think that's probably how I'm going to play, is just solely focus on just taking out specific things, and also using the Russians' morale to hurrah. I can't remember. I think it's called "Follow Me," which is one of the orders the Russians can do quite effectively because their morale is so high. Yeah, no, so what else am I going to get in terms of my army? Not a hell of a lot. I think the things I might look at getting when it comes back in stock, I might look at getting the Panzer Grenadiers because you get cheap BMPs with it, which could be really good. BMPs are, they're really good. I mean, they're boring, but they're good. The BMP-1 is a really cool looking vehicle. The 2's a bit goofy, but the 1's really good. And the 3 is a nice looking APC. They're good. They've got a bit of a utility. That starter set's really nice. To get, I don't know what I'm going to do with the T-55s. A friend of mine that I sold the East Germans to, I think he might actually be up for getting the T-55s because T-55s are really, really good. In terms of for an army like the East Germans. They're cheap, they're cheerful, you can get quite a lot of them, and they're nice models too, actually. It's going to be fun with the Finns getting them soon. How am I going to paint the rest of my army? So I'm probably going to stick with some of the main battle tanks, and then some of them I'm going to probably paint like this, because I think it's a pretty cool scheme. It's based on this one, and some other, on the back. You sort of see it's a mixture. I would say it's the Vedived box. I kind of followed it, but I just followed. It's kind of in the same style what's on the Vedived box, but then I changed it up and followed that. I didn't airbrush the mustard yellow, but I did use, I think it was Mr. Hobbies, I think it is. I used desert yellow, and that worked really, really well. I'm pretty happy with how it worked. And I also used rubber black. I'm sorry if I've already brought that up, but rubber black is a really nice color. Yes, smoke black is what I used. Watered it down, thinned it down, then I used the brush, and then obviously, did that couple of little, just random. I think it gives it a bit of. I think it looks really good actually. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to playing my first game of Team Yankee. I've probably got another game up on Thursday. I'm still working my way through my Germans. I might get some more work done on them tomorrow. I just needed a break, work on these guys, put that down, and then I'll shift back to painting my Germans. I've done a couple of stands of German infantry, which I'm really happy with. I'm loving the grass work that I've got. The grass that I've got is really, really nice, and I'm hoping to use them again. I played a game recently with a friend of mine, and he had Americans, and I had my Germans, obviously. And it was I basically ran a Volksgrenadier army. They're really good. They don't have the morale that a lot of other factions have. In terms of the list that you can choose from, their morale is really terrible. But what they're good at is they can get lots of shots. They're good in assaults. And they're cheap. And yeah, sure, they've got no morale, but they in that regard, the thing with infantry is the 3+ saves are so good. 3+ saves are brilliant. And the thing is that my opponent basically got stuck fighting them. So it was me and a German player. We did a pretty good, decent game. Held them up. It was me versus Americans, 2 German players against a Soviet and an American player, and it was a really good game. The Germans won that day. Panzer IVs are really good. They took out a couple of T-34s and then just ran up the board, captured an objective. Happy days. The Germans won that game. But I'm really looking forward to getting these guys. I am loving the models. I think they're really nice. I still need to filter them. Putting the decals on these guys is going to be a bit of a pig. I've got probably going to put something on over there and I might do the red star or something over the I think that might be a spotlight. Might do something there. But no, I'm really enjoying the figures. I think that AK Interactive paint set is really good. I'm still trying to figure out the consistency to put it through an airbrush because I haven't had a lot of success. But overall, I would say that I think the army is the Russians are an interesting army. I think you want an army that gives you lots of choice, but not too much choice. You don't want to suffer from analysis paralysis. So what am I going to get next for these fellows? I think the things that I'm going to look at getting is I want to get T-74s. No, yeah, T-72s, T-72Bs. I'd love to get some T-72Bs. And more infantry, the regular Russian infantry. I might look at getting a hail battery, maybe. I don't need. I mean, Russian artillery is a bit sus at best. Enough transports to enough BMPs to do like a recon unit. I reckon that would be pretty handy. But definitely T-74Bs. I would say T-74Bs are right at the top of my shopping list. But again, like the thing I love about Flames of War is that if you get a couple of boxes, or Team Yankee, you get a couple of boxes, you don't need to worry about too much else. The other, in terms of if I am going to start another army after this, I'm still going. I still have my eyes on the West Germans or the British, but I think I definitely want to get these guys done, focus on my Germans a little bit more before I worry about anything else. But yeah, no, yeah. So everybody, you guys stay safe and happy painting, happy modeling. Do what makes you happy, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.